Strap in and get ready. This is the Wild Will Throwdown. We're your all-access pass to the world of short track racing, covering everything from regional results to national highlights. Each episode, we dive into upcoming schedules and bring you exclusive interviews with special guests from the heart of the motorsports industry. Now, here is your host, Wild Will Greenwell.
Welcome, everyone, back to the Wild Will Throwdown, season number 5, supporting Indy Warrior Partnership. Will Greenwell here with you on another week here. I should say the first week of March now as we get into the heat of things. We're going to have a good show here today, of course, on the show. Of course, topic of the week chosen by Dalton Connor. We'll introduce them in a second. Then, of course, we're going to have Shawn Smith, the head guru of the SS Fabrication, come on. And towards the end of the show today, we'll actually recap Florida and Auburndale and all of that fun stuff since we were off last week. That is the show program today. What a great show it is. Hopefully everyone is staying dry. I know the Midwest is having a little bit of Mother Nature, of course, expected as we kick off an inch closer to, of course, spring. But let me introduce the co-host of the Wild Will Throwdown, Mr. Hawk Harold Adams and Young Money Dalton Connor. And we'll start with you, Mr. Hawk Harold Adams. We are officially to the month of March.
Yep, and you know what that means? That means things will ramp up pretty much everywhere in our area as far as registrations, practice. I mean, we already had our registration at Sportsdrome, this past weekend, our initial registration. So, and of course, we'll get into this same old subject we have every year around this time, Mother Nature. Is Mother Nature going to let us get practice underway? Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, no doubt. And we were just talking about that before today's show. And Dalton Connor, you said you're getting ready to get the street stock. You got the modified wrapped, of course, you released. Things are well underway in Connor Racing Stable.
Yeah, they're getting underway here. Finally, it seems like the winter, it seems like it took a while, but actually kind of flew by when you look back on it. So, yeah, I'm excited for this year. Like you guys said, registration, we're getting registered for all the classes I'll be racing. And, yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year. And like we talked about, we've been busy and we always joke around and say, well, there's really not off season for us, whether we got stuff going on here or there, banquets or getting ready for the new season. And well, into February, we got some new equipment we're launching this year. Of course, myself, I'm going to be at many different tracks throughout our region this year. So trying to up everything. We had the Wild Will Throwdown Winter Circles Club. We gave away our first drawing this past week. It was a very big success. We got, I think, about 20 boxes of Arizona Sports Shirt, brand new T-shirts set to release. My wife's going to be debuting those at the Sportsdrome Speedway on March the 21st, I believe. So we got a lot of big things planned this year. And yes, Mother Nature. Mother Nature, this week, as you've seen the forecast, warm but wet, and that means spring around the Midwest is on the way. Daylight savings time. We spring forward, lose an hour of sleep, and then, of course, we know that it gets darker later, and that means race season is right around the corner. Saw a little bit of the forecast. May have some dry weather on Sunday afternoon for everyone practicing at the Sportsdrome Speedway, about a high of 67 degrees. Rain moves out that morning. So there is maybe a chance of practice, but 100% chance of sign-ups again. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the show again. But Dalton Connor, I know you got the week off last week, but this week, topic of the week, very excited to what you picked this weekend, or this week, I should say.
Yeah. So it would have been more fitting because it was coming off fresh from the Florida races, and I got to experience a little wild side after the races. So it's not really a topic about racing or anything. Well, kind of, I guess you could be. So what's the craziest thing you guys have seen at a racetrack? Craziest, wildest, most memorable? I mean, whatever. We can go whichever way with this. So I just wanted to ask it because of all the extracurricular activities after the Auburndale race that didn't even really involve any of the drivers. There was a couple of the drivers' teams that were involved, but no drivers were even in it. And it was like a local from here in Indy and a local from down there. So that was probably one of the more wild moments for me because I was like, it literally happened right behind our pit. I was standing right there. And punches just started flying. So I hate to bring that up because we always like to talk about the good in the racing, but you're always going to have that bad too. So that was probably one of my more memorable moments. And you guys obviously know the whole 3 hour deal with me. So that was clearly the wildest. So I'll pass it over to you, Will.
Oh, hey, I love it. I mean, we want to talk about the negatives, right? Everyone's like, well, this is bullshit. Everyone's fighting, they're fussing, there's drama. You want to see a good race. I'm not saying anything like I condone all of this behavior, right? But you know what? This is you wouldn't have short track Saturday nights if you didn't have the fireworks of flaring, of fist thrown, and the storylines, and talking about everything through the week, this guy, that guy, your sister's ass, whatever the case may be. It's all part of it now. And let me tell you, this is I'm here for it, right? Like, if I'm in the press box, you guys can go at it. Look, I don't have to pay to fix anything. I don't have to pay medical bills. I get to stay out of it and just watch it, eat my popcorn up in the booth. And yes, we do have popcorn in the press boxes. But that's part of it. And I'm not saying, and you know me better than this. I'm friends with the opposition. I'm friends with this person. Whether he's guilty or he's innocent, I'm always talking to everyone. It's not my decision or my jurisdiction to say, hey, you're wrong, you're right. We're just spectators. But, man, you left that wide open, because I can remember so many times, and I will tell you this, I interviewed a lot of people trackside. And I can tell you I've had some great interviews, and I can tell you I've had some brawl interviews. And I've had some awkward interviews, and I've had people get mad at me in interviews. So, one, it's no secret. You have to go back to the firecracker at Salem this past year. That was interesting. Harold was up there behind the press box saying, Will, I hope you're all right down there. And I was like, well, I don't even know what's going on anymore. But, that's one incident. I've had driver interviews that, man, he won the race, but he might not have won it cleanly, and you could just feel the tension in the air that guy who he wrecked, or whatever the case may be, that did not win, was going to come around, and then you got the fans at the fence booing, middle finger cussing. Boy, those are some tense moments. But as far as I go, I can remember Harold's probably got more when he raced back in the day. But looking at my career in the past 8 years of what I've done, I can't even name them all. I've received messages attacking me because I've said something wrong on the microphone. I've had fights break out in front of interviews. I've had, I've called many of wrecks and fights and demolition derbies, not demolition derbies, quote unquote, but I've called a lot of those as well. So it's very interesting that you bring up this topic of the week conversation topic. I love it. We can all sit around and say, this is bullshit. This should not take place here. This should not take place in front of my kids, or blah, 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 blah. Look, if it did not happen to you, you're sitting there. Everyone's got a recording device in their hand, taking pictures, videoing this, and just enjoying it, because as a fan, your adrenaline starts pumping because you want to see more, right? So you want to see that. You're like, man, this is awesome, or, I hate that mother beep, you know what I mean, if you're on the other side of the fan of the other person who's getting whooped. But then, of course, if it happens to you or your family member, like it's your husband, your brother, whatever the case may be, then you're on social media saying, well, this don't belong here. This is bullcrap. This is why I don't race anymore. Bullshit. This is what brings people back each and every time. It is the drama, it is the heat, it is the tension, it is the spectacle. We look at racing and auto racing like a production. I know Harold and I have talked about this many times. Production all the way from the flag guy and putting on a show to up here in the press box, the producers putting the show on, quote unquote, the race director, the announcer, being the commentary team, the actual athletes or the people in the cars putting on the show. So I think the drama, the fights and stuff, to a sense, are good for the sport. so that's my take on it, and I'll pass it to you, Harold Adams, because I know you and I have talked about this many times.
Yeah, I was sitting there trying to think. I've got, you're talking about one of the craziest things that you've seen or whatever, but I've seen a million crazy things at the racetrack, over my years. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down to three of them that really come to mind real quick. One of them, and I know a lot of people around here remember this. This is one of the most legendary wrecks slash episodes in this whole area in the early '90s. It was the Raymond Johnson Chris Harmon feud that boiled over on figure eight madness at the Sportsdrome, where Raymond was mad. They was kicking him out for something he did, and he was mad at Chris Harmon. They was on a red flag situation, and Chris was just sitting over by the scoreboard turn. So they kick Raymond out. So he goes over and just runs in the side of Chris's car. The car runs up all the way up onto Chris's car. Raymond gets out, stands up there like on the top of the car. Somebody from the stands ran out, went over there, jumped up there, and pushed Raymond off the car. I thought he was dead, and but he was all right. You know how Raymond's he's like indestructible, I
No,
guess.
Raymond ain't going to die that easy.
That the thing is, that was before social media and stuff. So that was on the tape that I think Greg Gibson had down there that recorded the races. But that was such a big deal, and they didn't want that out so much. That video of that wreck was like banned from being shown to people for years because
Wow.
it was such a bad publicity thing. Because it was such a crazy thing at the time that they didn't want that out. And but nowadays, you see all kinds of wrecks and fights on social media the day it happens.
But
So
that's what we
it's not
talk
a big,
about. I love that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we're talking about now.
yeah. So I mean, it was a big deal. But I'll tell you a couple more real quick ones. From
What?
when I was
Wait a
racing,
minute. Wait a minute. I know what you're going to say.
what?
Jack Dawsey Jr. and Calvin Crane.
No, that's a good one though. That that's in the top 10 probably. We'll talk about that another day then, right? But anyway, I'll tell you one with Cheeseburger Tim Donahue. I was in a feature race in the Dromers down there at Sportsdrome. There was a red flag. I didn't see what happened, but Tim Donahue was up on his lid, and evidently whoever it was did it to him. He was madder than heck. He got out, and he wanted to go after him. Well, his muffler had fallen off the car and was laying right there because they had to have mufflers on these Dromers back in the day. Well, he was so mad, he wanted to pick something up, I guess, and throw it at him, whoever he's mad at. He picked up that muffler red hot, dropped that thing down, and just looked at his hands. And later on that night, he was walking around. He had his hands completely wrapped up. We called him Mittens for a while because he just had them wrapped up. And he was like, I don't know what I was thinking. He was like, well, it's because you weren't thinking. But that and oh gosh, I got so wrapped up in that I can't even think of what else I wanted to pick out. So I'll just leave it at that for now, and then we'll talk about the Calvin Crane and Dawsey situation, which most people probably know anyway. But we'll talk about that another day.
Well, we got 20,000 reasons why we can talk about it, but what about 2014? My first ever 3-hour I attended. That was a memorable one for me because everyone knows in 2014 that iconic 3-hour, Harold Adams. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, that involves Chris Harmon too.
Yeah, what is there starting to be a little a trend going here?
Well, it is now.
Hey, I love
Trying
Chris.
to get him back in the 3-hour, aren't we?
I love Chris Harmon. He knows that. He's a proud sponsor of the show, and that's one thing as a kid. And great topic of the week, Dalton. Before I send it to you, Dalton, is it's incredible. And I sit around and think about as a kid, and I'm not giving away their age. 8, 9 years old, I was watching all of the guys, some of the guys I get to call races for, and their kids now, the next generation. And I'm only 36 years old. But I can remember the iconic Louisville Speedway Johnson Crane versus the Harmon kind of deal. And, it was like going to wrestling every week. But it was good because that was the storylines that drew us there. Artie Ware and, Alan Williams Jr. and the Hall of Famer Keith Gardner and just some of the stories you just it's quite amazing. It truly is. But I could sit here all night, and I know, Harold, you could too, and Dalton, you could too, with the years that you've raced so far here in your late teens and early 20s, and I'm sure you could talk about things. But Dalton, what about you? I mean, I know you're young, but what do you? I mean, your years. I mean, in the recent past, what do you think? What is your most craziest moment?
Well, I think mine's pretty self-explanatory for recently,
Sure.
recently anyway. Like the whole 3 hour deal with me and Jeffrey Shackelford. I'm not going to say it's fully swept under the rug, but I don't hold grudges like that. You know what I mean? Like it happened. Everybody knows it happened. Like you guys are talking about like the Calvin Crane, Jack Dawsey deal, Chris Harmon, Mark Tunney deal. Like there's just these these controversies that are going to happen. These just events that are going to be core memories to some. Like you guys could probably replay exactly what you were doing when this happened or that happened, and it really is just kind of crazy how these moments at racetracks just are core memories for people.
Well,
Like just everything. Like you could go, like Harold could name anything from the '90s or something that he remembers. So it's crazy how much they actually impact us. So,
well,
but yeah, that's probably mine though.
well. I mean, the first ever time I got flicked off was Dalibor Mitrovic, and I could tell you this story all day long. And it was kind of when I first started announcing at Sportsdrome. There was a big thing, a big deal, right? So Don Lister back in the day, former announcer, God rest his soul, at Sportsdrome. Loved Don Lister, by the way. He always called, Dalibor the Mad Russian or whatnot. And, kind of going on and on and on. Dalibor hated that nickname. He absolutely hated it, and I could see why. And, Mike Benson, after Frank Scott came, was the announcer there. And Mike said, he don't mind it, and Mike would. He would call him that. Well, the first time I ever get to announce a race that Dalibar's racing in, he comes out for a heat race. It's not like a feature where they just roll on out. They actually stop you now at the start-finish line at Sportsdrome. And I didn't realize how loud. I know I have a deep voice and a kind of polarizing, thunderous, over the speakers. So I guess they were all out there lined up, and they weren't moving, so I was doing the lineup, and I actually called him the Mad Russian. And I'll never forget, the big hand goes out the window and flicks me off. And everyone, God love her so, Vicky, everyone knows how Vicky is. She goes, "Who's he flicking off?" I looked at Vicky and I said, "I think me." And after the race gets done, I watch him go back to the pit area, park, and you know how big Dalibor Mitrovic is. He gets out of the car and goes to Mike Gibson. I said, "Watch this, guys. He's going to radio up here now." So, long and behold, I haven't told many people this story. Mike radios the press box, says, "Will?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mike, I know what I did." He goes, "Thank you." So, after it was over, I felt bad because sometimes I wear my heart on my sleeve. I want to make it right. So, I go back to the pit area. I apologize. He tells me why he hates that name, and he didn't know someone told me to say it. And he gave me a big bear hug, and it was washed under the rug. But, Harold, stuff like that, it's these memories. I mean, yes, it sucked in the midst, right? It sucked at the time it happened. But, man, later down the road, it's good stories.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we meet all kinds of personalities and characters down there, and different things happen. And, we could go on and on about all these different stories that we've met on and off the track involving the racing community.
Yeah, no doubt. And, Dalton, that's an awesome topic of conversation. We could sit here all night and tell the stories. And just like I said, as an announcer, I am not biased towards one group to the other. Like you and Jeffrey had problems at the 3 hour. I like Jeffrey. I like you. It's none of my business. It's between the drivers. And I wish a lot of family members would all over every racetrack realize that, because back in the day, we heard some of the old timers say, we didn't have social media. We either knocked your head off after it was over, or we just hated each other. And we went on to the next week because there was nothing. You only had a phone number. I mean, think about that for a second. You only had a phone number. You could call the person. Most people did not text. They had pagers, but no texting, no Facebook, Instagram. You would just fight it out or see each other the next week at the track to talk about it when you cooled off, because you had 7 days or 6 days rather, to talk about it. But man, awesome conversation. Dalton, good job. Next week, I think Harold Adams has the topic conversation. So you're going to have a hard one to top, Harold Adams.
Yeah, that was a good one. Maybe we'll do part 2.
Hey, we could do part 8, I'm sure, just on the Harmons and the Calvin Crane and Raymond Johnson back in the day. But, man, awesome. But we're going to take a short break. Thank our marketing partners, of course, Indy Warrior Partnership this year. When we come back, we will have the guru of SS Fabrication, Mr. Shawn Smith, will join us here on the Wild Will Throwdown. Race fans, in 2026, we celebrate 5 years of the podcast, The Wild Will Throwdown. And in 2026, we cannot thank our great marketing partners for what they do for us, including the Salem Speedway, the Sportstrom Speedway, KKR, Indianapolis Speedrome, Elite Outdoor Services, Shears Drain Cleaning, Kentucky Clutch and Performance, Forklift Rescue, Diesel Boys, Park Fans, Hoosier Auto Racing Fans, Flag to Flag Media, Roosters, Marshall Jaggers Racing, Derby City Recycling, Polk Brothers Racing, John McLaren Motorsports, Shane Wilson Lawn Care, Shawn Smith Race Cars, Circle City Raceway, Victory Lane Frenchies, Oink Incorporated, Hadley Towing and Recovery, Code 3 Roofing, KJ Enterprises, The Smile Center, Clap Mowing and Landscaping, LaFever's Curbing, El Tarasco Mexican Restaurant, and S&R Towing. We cannot thank our beautiful marketing partners enough for their success and their support in 2026. And welcome back to the Wild Will Throwdown season number 5, supporting Indy's Warrior Partnership this year with our U.S. military giving back to veterans. Now on the hotline, proud to welcome this guy in, proud sponsor of the show, Mr. SS Fabrication himself, Mr. Shawn Smith. Shawn, thank you for taking the time here this evening to talk with us.
It's good to be on.
So, Shawn, man, I know we just talked before we started the recording, staying pretty busy this year. I know our co-host, Dalton Connor, he'll be heading down here soon to get his car. But, man, you're just staying busy with that fabrication work.
Yeah, I got I think 7 cars I'm working on, and I got people calling every day, and it's hard to keep up.
Well, like you said, it's a good thing. Everyone talks about how good and what you do and stuff like that. And I'm sure being a competitor yourself, you know what it takes to get out there and have a car ready. And here in the Midwest, we are getting ready to fire up the season here towards the end of March. And, March only means one, well, I should say 2 things. That's rain and racing. Hopefully we get through the opener that both of those things do not mix, of course. But, Shawn, man, many things to talk about here, but knew you from Louisville Motor Speedway back in the day, growing up there, and of course you ventured over to Sportstrom a few times. But we see you now at Salem Speedway, which Salem, big news this season. Of course, new ownership and a lot of renovations there. So I'm sure as a driver, also not as a fabricator, you're looking forward to heading over to Salem this year for the 80th year. Pretty big year with the renovations going on.
Yeah, I've been up there a couple times. They were needing some handrails and stuff for the bleachers, and just checking all the things they're doing out there. The place is looking really good. I don't know how they're going to get it all done, like
Sure.
how I'm going to get all these cars done. But it's a different March Madness.
Well, it's a good March Madness. I mean, I always tell people, and I've talked to Brent many times. He goes, "Well, I'm going to do everything I can," and how much he's online and how much he works throughout the night. I'm sure he has a good chance, if anyone, to get it done. But Shawn, you raced back at the Louisville Motor Speedway. We talk about seeing your old video clips back in the day. I know YouTube has some old stuff on there about Louisville, a place that I called home for my first ever racetrack. I was 2 years old. My dad raced, and I know you loved that place, and then went over to Sportstrom. But how did you get started at Louisville Speedway?
A friend of mine in high school, his brother helped some guys that raced, and I rode dirt bikes. And that buddy of mine, that they worked on their cars over by South Park Road by the Brickyard.
Yeah.
And that's where we all rode dirt bikes. Well, I asked, could I park over there, unload my bike, and go up in the woods? And I started checking these race cars out, and I used to race some dirt bikes, and I broke my arm, and I was bored and hanging out over there. And it was like, you ought to get you a car. So we went back in Miners Lane Heights and found an old Pinto for $300 and drug it home, and I've been racing ever since.
Ah, the old Pintos. Wasn't they called the mini cups or whatnot?
Mini stocks.
Mini stocks, that's it. Yep. There was a lot of Pintos back in the day. Again, on that YouTube Let's Talk Racing show. Actually, I pulled up a video the other day and saw the Pintos out there, and that brought back some memories. But, of course, when did you actually start going to Salem? I know you ventured over to Sportstrom a few times, but then when did you really start going to Salem?
After Louisville closed in 2001, the trucks we raced, they allowed us to race them with their 4-cylinder cars, which was basically the same cars, except we just had a truck body and they had car bodies. So, I won 4 championships up there in those trucks because the trucks were faster. A lot of them guys with the cars would chop their tops and they thought they could cut through the air better, but we could hold it wide open through the corners with those big long sides, those truck beds. So when you go into turn 3, you didn't even think about lifting.
Couldn't imagine.
And you could just, and it took up some courage to figure it out. But like you said, we were down in the, low 19s, like 1910s, 1908 lap times. So we were going as fast to the corners as the straightaway.
Well, it's funny how sponsors stick with you in your heads. I remember the Papa John's Thunder Trucks and, the Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division and, things like that from back in the day. And, Salem Speedway, over the years, we looked at the history of that place and what it's taken and, surviving, right? So you look at Sportstrom, still going on today, compared to what was around at Fairgrounds, Louisville, and then Charlestown. And then Salem Speedway still going strong, of course, some other historic tracks in our area. But a big year for Salem, obviously, 1947, the inaugural year. And, of course, 80 years later, 2026, the same as Sportstrom, 2 tracks going strong in 2026. But, Shawn, I know you said, the fabrication stuff. That's kind of really what I want to pinpoint here. When did you actually start getting the trade of being a fabricator?
Well, when I first started racing, I couldn't afford to pay anybody, and then I become friends with Kevin Gardner.
Oh, yeah.
We race late models, and I'd hang over out in his garage, and I'd take my car over there and get him to help me, but he would just he wouldn't let me do it. He would do it, and I would just watch because I would do it wrong or too slow. And he's like, "Here, move out of the way." So basically, I just started watching him, and then doing the stuff, at home. And then, a lot of people didn't know, but I built off Chris Harmon's Sportstrom cars, Jeff Harmon's. In the wintertime at Kentucky Clutch, when we were slow, I would work over there in Chris's garage next door all winter and build his cars. So, I always liked wintertime because the clutch would be slow. So, I could just get over there and work on them race cars. And that's just something I like to do. And I used to like to look forward to the wintertime, when the time changed and it's dark. I like to, come home and tinker out in my garage. So, like they say, if you do something you love, it don't really seem like work.
Well, that's it, and we talk about, because I know you used to work Kentucky Clutch and whatnot with Chris Harmon and the gang. And, I always say, because I've heard you say this many times before, you really want to win one of the iconic races at Salem Speedway. So I know you're going to run some at Salem this year. So what is the exact plans for Shawn Smith this year as far as being a competitor?
Well, I want to race as many times as I can, but I've still got to get my car put back together. I've got the back half fixed, and I got to get the front half. I got my motor freshened up. It's ready to go. I just got to get all my customers' cars done first. And then, I'm not going to make the first race, unless I get a ride or something with somebody, which I've had people reach out to me. So, I may show up in another car.
There you go. We'd love to see you out there.
But I should have my car out there at least by the 4th of July, hopefully sooner. But like I said, I got 2 brand new cars being I'm built from the ground up, and a lot of body jobs. So I'm kind of trying to not take any more work because I just, like I said, I got more than I can handle. And then, also I work out of John McLaren's shop, and we're getting his cars together. And a lot of people knows he bought Connor Popplewell's car, and
Yep.
we're kind of cleaning it up and fixing bumpers and putting a body on it. So in between my jobs, I'm trying to help him get going on his too, along with his crew.
Well, yeah, John McLaren, another good sponsor of our show, and I know he's invited me over to his shop many of times, and he's excited. We see all of these guys' social media posts and whatnot, and they're getting ramped up for the race season. Hopefully, like I said, Mother Nature works for us in the Midwest. Last year, we did not get much racing done in the first half of the season because of the rain. So hopefully this year it's a little bit different. But Shawn, I know you've been very busy, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us this week. But anybody you would like to thank on the side of that number 86 before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I've got longtime supporters. I got David Owens of Owens Funeral Home.
Yep.
He's always been a supporter of mine. Brandon Hooker, Diesel Boys LLC. Adam Hilton out in Colorado.
Oh,
I met
yes.
these guys from Colorado. They own Uptown Speed Shop. They fly in and help, and I kind of help him on some stuff, building the street stocks out there, just so he don't have to do as much trial and error and R&D. So, I kind of help him over the phone, and like I said, they like to come to the races and help whenever they can get away. Chris Harmon at Kentucky Clutch, he always helps me. Like I said, John McLaren Motorsports, he helps, build a lot, providing a shop, place to work, and whatever tools I don't have, he's got. So, we try to help each other out as much as we can.
And that's what it's about, right? So, you talk about all of your sponsors there, and I think the world of Adam. I've met him when I was calling the races out at Colorado National Speedway, and Adam Hilton and the gang, and been to their speed shop. Phenomenal place. He has a lot of supporters, and that's very cool as well. And that's one thing about the racing community. We're all close. We all get to know each other somehow, it seems like. But Shawn, man, it's been a pleasure as always, and we can't wait to see what you do in 2026.
I appreciate you having me on, and I'm glad I could help out your show also. Maybe I can, like I said, business hasn't seemed to be a problem. Like I said, I haven't turned anything away, but I've had to put some people on the back burner.
Hey, well, we're going to see what you can do this year, and hopefully you get one of those iconic Salem Speedway trophies this year.
Yeah, like I said, I've been close so many times. I'm like Dale Earnhardt at Daytona. I've got so many second place Halloween 200s. Like I said, it just people don't realize what kind of work it takes, and everything has to go right. You got to have good luck. You got to have good equipment. You got to have a good crew in the pits. So it takes the whole package.
Well, we're excited to see what you do. It's always a pleasure talking to you in the pit area and seeing you at the racetrack. I know a lot of guys look up to you and thankful for what you do for the sport. So, Shawn Smith, thank you, sir, and we'll see you at the racetrack.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Race fans, here in 2026, we are glad to partner with Flag to Flag Media. Our friends Matt Lamar and the gang set to have a show Thursday nights at 8 p.m. on their YouTube page or Facebook platform. Just go to Flag to Flag Media. That's FLAG, the number 2, FLAG Media. Flag to Flag Media for all of your dirt highlights around the region. Check them out at Flag to Flag Media. And welcome back to the Wild Will Throwdown, season number 5 in 2026. Hard to believe, and that was Shawn Smith. Of course, Dalton, you know Shawn very well.
Oh yeah, that's my setup guy right there.
No doubt, and of course, he's a very smart guy. Harold Adams, you and I have known him for years, and basically Louisville Speedway, where he ran back in the day, and then of course ventured over to Sportsdrome.
Yeah, his name's been around for a while, like I say, on the track, and he's very notable. In the garage now, building a lot of cars for people and chassis and whatnot. So, really, very important piece of the racing community around here.
Yes, he is. Well, looking towards the weekend, of course, around here, big story again. Here we go again, Mother Nature. Uh, we knew that rain was coming, but you know what? It's early. Let her get
Yep.
it out of her system now. Looking at the future, if you're in this region, of course, some tracks have not started practice yet. Some have not even started looking at their first practice yet. A lot of that comes up towards the end and middle of March. And then, of course, the first weekend or so of April, a lot of tracks start. Now, Sportsdrome's a little bit earlier in that, and Salem's on March 29th. Other tracks we'll be covering as well. We'll have a lot more recaps here on the show to talk about our region tracks and the results and whatnot. But yes, this weekend, Sportsdrome Speedway, we'll talk about it. Sign-ups coming up on Saturday and Sunday, and practice tentatively on the schedule. Don't know about Saturday. Sunday is looking more promising as we get a bit of sunshine and the rain moves out that morning, because I believe from either 1 to 5 or 12 to 5 or some of them are in the middle there is practice time. But, man, Harold Adams, you posted the list. We were expecting about 84 Fords already signed up. Modified and sportsman car count growing this year. Very excited. Powder Puff, Future Stars, Smack Talkers. Harold, it's going to be a great year, and we're going to have a lot of coverage this year during the pre-shows and whatnot there.
Yeah, plenty of drivers there. Like I say, a bunch of them were rolling in. It was packed all day, and as you said, over 84 drivers signed up, and a lot of familiar faces, and some new guys too, and ladies. So, going to be interesting. You see some guys moving around different divisions, so it's always fun to see how the drivers acclimate to their new cars and divisions at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's very awesome to see. Of course, we've known Sportsdrome to be Ford capital of the world, as we've had over 100 entries before, and I'm sure we'll get that. I'm pretty guaranteeing it right now. We'll have over 100 pre-entries for the Ford division. Now, on an average, they average about 65 to 75 Fords, give or take, on every weekly night. But look, one of the best car counts, I guarantee you, and you guys may agree with me here, looking at a weekly racing series through all of the short tracks, Sportsdrome's got to be up there, averaging 65 to 75 cars weekly. I mean, wouldn't you think so, Dalton?
Oh, I mean, I don't see any other track in the country on it. I can't think of a single one that averages more cars a week than Sportstrom in one class. I mean, 65 to 70 cars in one class a week, that's just unheard of in racing.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about specials like this 50,000 win race, Legend Series Nationals, nothing like that. I'm talking about a weekly series basis. It's awesome to see. Very proud of them, and rightfully so, because that is where, if you don't know, the Sportstrom Speedway is where the Ford Crown Vic started. Of course, Dean World would help Chris Workman there years ago, and it just took off to every where, if you will. But yes, let's talk a little bit about the Florida recap. Yes, Harold Adams, myself went down. I called the broadcast with Matt Nyer in the booth and Steve Darling. Great race, about 18 to 19. We would have had over that, of course, some malfunctions here and there. 86-degree day. I'm not for sure if it got to 86 or 87, but warm day on Saturday. Harold, it was great to be back at a racetrack.
It was great to be back at the racetrack and to be back down in sunny Florida. Like you said, it was kind of a last minute deal. And everybody was down there saying, it was cold the week before that and everything. So we really lucked out with the sun. I tell you what, it felt really good. I wish I could have bottled some of it up and brought it back up here with us.
Well, I had some peeling last week. Got a little sunburnt. That's nothing out of the unusual for me. But Dalton, I know you were there helping Jack Dawsey Jr. It was good to see Jack Dawsey Jr. back in the car, qualified ninth, finished ninth.
Yeah, he ran good. We just had the car a little too tight for the race because we adjusted on it for the hot track. But yeah, talking about the weather though down there, I mean, like Harold said, we couldn't have asked for much better. Like, it wasn't overbearing on the heat and it wasn't too cold. It was just perfect right when we were there.
Oh, it was, and phenomenal job. Now, I won't talk about Atlanta's traffic on the way home. That was a different time for a different story. But all in all, it was a great weekend. Still can't believe we we made the trip. It was a last-minute decision. We talked about coming down to do the broadcast or whatnot, and I was like, I'm crazy. Go down Friday, drive back Sunday. Yes, we drove. We didn't fly. We drove, and it was
It was
interesting.
worth it.
It was worth it, absolutely, and had a great time. But ready for Midwest Racing, our weekly shows. We're ready for that. What I love about it. I was thinking about this today. What do you love about calling these races or just being around the track? It's the storylines. It truly is the storylines. For me, you have everything in one. Well, who's going to be on top this year? Who got into a wreck last week, and the rivalries. We compare racing to wrestling a lot. And the more I think about it, it really, no wonder they attract the same fan base, right? Am I right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
All right, thank you. I just wanted some someone to agree with me, if you would. But think about it. You have, it's like an episodic television show. It truly is. You have opening night, say March, right? Well, someone's going to hit somebody on the track, and then you got a rivalry started. And then they're going to face off for about 4 to 5 weeks. Maybe it'll go away, maybe it won't. And then you're going to have the next week and the next show. Well, he slept with my girlfriend, so I'm going to wreck him on the track. And I heard you laughing, Dalton. Hey, it happens. I've seen it many times.
It happens a lot.
Yes, exactly.
It happens a lot.
But so then you got that storyline, and then everyone's talking about it, and you're off the microphone, and this person in the pit area comes up. Hey, Will, did you see this? Can you believe he's sleeping with her? Can you believe it? Yeah, I don't doubt it. I've seen it many times. But bottom line, it's just fun, right? Like, I don't know. It's just a great Saturday night, Friday night, wherever the case may be. But that's another topic of the conversation. Well, we got some ideals here, okay? But Dalton, I know you're ready for racing. I know Harold's ready for racing. We're all ready for racing, guys. But we'll go for final thoughts. Harold Adams, what do you got?
Hey, I'm just hoping we can get this rain out of the way this week. We get some practice in either Saturday, Sunday, or both days, and get this season started out the right way.
No doubt. Dalton, what's your final thoughts going into this weekend of March?
Yeah, well, me and my dad are going down to Shawn Smith, our guest today. So we're going down there tomorrow to pick up my street stock. He just wrapped the body up on it. So we're going to have that thing wrapped and decaled up in no time. So that one's going to be the next one to get released.
We're excited for that, and as always, want to thank our marketing partners for all that they do here in 2026 for our 5th anniversary. Want to thank, of course, our co-hosts for coming on each and every week, dedicating some time from their schedules, and, of course, the drivers, crews for their contributions, and you, the great fans. Without you, the great fans, we would not be here each and every week. As far as I am Will Greenwell, and I will see you around the turn.